You alright, guys?
Did you bring your hard drive this time?
You alright, guys? We really wanted to get a video for Borderlands 2 as quickly as we could.
But unfortunately, with it being quite a big, long game, we've only just managed to finish it, so the review is now. Right,
before we get to any spoilers, here's a quick nutshell.
The game was produced by Gearbox Games, like the first one.
Game looks stunning, the cell shading's absolutely beautiful, it's much better than the first one.
The writing's really good, much better than the first, it's really funny. The characters actually have some depth to them, they're not just answering machines with googly eyes attached.
Combat feels solid, featuring such classics such as bang and punch, and it also includes the special feature moves that were there from the first game as well.
Side missions get pretty boring, they're only there really for leveling up. The actual full game itself, it's not the best game ever, but it is vastly improved in many ways from the first one.
Shall we go?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Let's go. For a game boasting the ever-popular RPG element of itself, you get very surprisingly limited character customization, and to be honest, I couldn't really care less what shade eyebrows my machine gun tooting giant has, or what specific shade of dog his bum hair is, but instead you get the other extreme, you get a pre-made character with different coloured clothes you can change, which made me feel more like the character's mum.
Like, you're not going out in that!
You get a choice between a Siren, which is played by Jack from the Mass Effect games, and Assassin, which is played by the ninja from G.I. Joe. And you also get a choice between the Commando, who isn't but should be played by Zab Brannigan, and a Gunzerker, who is played by the guy with the cowboy hat from Predator.
Or a cross between James Vega from Mass Effect and Gotrek from Gotrek and Felix. Incidentally, one of the perks for the Gunzerker is I don't have time to bleed.
I don't have time to bleed.
I don't have time to bleed. The game, much like the first one, has a somewhat sort of Valve quality to it in the sense that the mood and the presence of this like semi-barren dystopian planet feels like it's meant to, i.e. although what you're doing does seem really important at the time, it still feels like there's something else bigger going on in the background that you can't quite see, that you can't quite put your finger on. And the people and the places that you exist do feel like they will continue to exist even after you've gone, in a similar fashion to Half-Life 2. And even Skyrim, although Skyrim does do this living, breathing world thing better than Borderlands, in the sense that you'll come across things while you're on your travels that don't happen every single time, but in Borderlands you can come across the same thing every time in the same place. Doesn't work quite as well.
Borderlands 2 has a cool low-tech meets high-tech feel to it, and you get the odd little steampunk bit thrown in there as well.
Do you know what it feels like to me? It feels a bit like Oddworld from the Abe's Odyssey games, which is like, that felt really dirty and gritty and dangerous, and I think Borderlands does do that really well.
Yeah, and the use of the cell shading as well complements that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah. On the subject of the cell shading, you mentioned at the beginning that it looks gorgeous. I kind of have to disagree with that. And as much as I like the graphic novel style of cell shading, to me, in Borderlands 2, it just feels a bit lazy because it doesn't look that much better than the first one. And the facial animations are disgraceful, and on the player character themselves, non-existent. And I think with all the technology the game's developers have got these days, it just doesn't feel like they've tried very hard, so it loses a bit of its charm that the first one had.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think the animation can be a little bit lazy in places. I think some of the big set-piece animations are really quite impressive, like with when they have the still shots of the characters when they enter and play. But like the things with the facial animations, that is lazy. And I do think that with as far as cell shading's used in games, I think it's one of the best ones we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Anyway, the writing's a vast improvement from the first game, making the in-game characters and the plot situations feel much more engaging. Borderlands 2 fills in much more the blanks than the first one did, making you feel like you're actually an integral part of the plot and it tries to engage you directly. Unlike the first one, which just told you to go on a great treasure hunt to go find the vault, which was meant to be full of your greatest desires, whether it was gold, wealth, 1,000 virgins, whatever. But unfortunately, it ended up being filled with a giant hentai monster, which incidentally is my greatest desire, but we'll get to that later.
See, I don't feel like the plot itself is actually that engaging. I feel, again, like I'm just doing what other people are telling us to. And considering virtually everything and everyone, including the local plant lives, trying to kill us, I actually don't care about what happens to Pandora. I mean, there aren't enough sexy blue cat girls for a start. But if it was me, as it's supposed to be, hence it's an RPG, I would have just fucked off and left them to it the minute I had the chance and just watched it burn from orbit because they all want me dead, so why should I help?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's one of those horrible situations because as a standalone game, it's got lots of things wrong with it, and it's the problem because it itself is lacking in so many areas, but as a projection of the canon, it's just so much better than the first one.
Vastly improved than the first one. I've got to admit that. Yeah.
I mean, the gameplay is just the same, but as far as like the writing content is concerned, it's much better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you think about how much you hate that one, how bad it is, how much worse was the first one. So,
Shit.
So maybe either the fourth one or the fifth one, they'll have made the perfect game. So
Possibly.
it's kind of where do you judge it?
Finding the balance, isn't it?
Aye.
Is on the need to stop the main antagonist called Handsome Jack, who's head of the Hyperion Corporation, and they are so evil they even have a moon base.
I bet they don't have sharks with laser beams on their heads though.
No, I don't even think they have a giant laser.
Laser.
Anyway, after opening the first vault and discovering that it contained every anime character's worst nightmare and led to a huge increase in a substance called iridium, Jack now wants to open a second vault on Pandora and release Sauron from Mordor. Release a super powerful alien warrior to try and do the same thing we do every night, Pinky. Take over the world. And the rest of the universe with it. Where have we been here before? I'm sure we have.
Blah, blah, blah. We also get to meet up with the playable characters from the first game, and with Borderlands 2 being set 5 years later, each have their own new backstories and missions to send you on, and a lot of the in-game characters make comebacks as well, such as Scooter, Zed, Margus, and Claptrap. Take that as you will.
Yeah, give him a high five if you're that way inclined as well.
We also get Mad Moxie making a return as well, which should make to some interesting fan art and cosplay.
It has. I've already looked. Nice, nice. Of all the NPCs, my favourite's got to be Tiny Tina, the world's most dangerous 13-year-old. She's hilarious. She's a bomb expert, explosives expert.
Oh, yeah.
She's bonkers, and I don't know why, but there's just something about her voice and the way she behaves that just made us laugh more than any of the other characters in the game. Even Jack, and I think he's hilarious.
There's something hit girl about her.
Hit girl?
Yeah, just a sort of crazy young girl type thing going on with her.
Yeah, there is.
Mental. Jack is hilarious though.
Yeah, Jack's really funny.
Because the game encourages you to play on multiplayer to get the best loot, me and Dan decided to go halfway and play through it as a pair. And I've got 4 words for you. The driving is wank. Actually, to be fair, I don't think wank's quite strong enough.
Diabolically shit?
Transformers 3?
I don't think it's that shit.
It's not that shit.
But yeah, shit.
But yeah, it's a pain in the arse, but it is one of the best ways to take a look at the epic set pieces.
Yeah, the set pieces are pretty epic, but like a lot of things in this game, they do get repetitive. It's either a big rocky snowy bit, or a big sandy desert bit, or a big grassy bit, or a big stinking boggy bit, with some giant monster skeletons thrown in for good measure. I would have loved to have seen one of those things alive and be able to fight it, but skeletons is all we get. And repetitiveness is this game's biggest downfall. I mean, I must admit, my first impressions of the game were good, but the more I play it, the more bored I feel. The enemies, they've got plenty of different ways to attack you, which means you've got to keep switching tactics to beat them. That's good, but they all look the same, and that gets boring. There's too many weapons. Boasting millions of guns sounds really good, but they all do the same thing, just with a different coloured skin. So really, it's just one gun of each type, copy-pasted a million times with +1 something added somewhere. Some of the story missions as well, they're made really irritating just by the sheer amount of enemies that you've got to get through. Like, the difficulty curve doesn't seem to be make enemies harder to kill, it just seems to be throw more at the player, like more and more and more. And I think every RPG game has an element of repetitiveness, even Mass Effect, but somehow Borderlands feels even more repetitive than the rest of them. And the more I think about it, the less I like it. The more I play it, the less I like it. And I'm actually annoyed that I paid full price for it. I don't hate it. I just don't like it as much as I feel like I should. I want to like it. I want to love it like a lot of people do, but I just don't. I can't.
I'm quite happy to have paid full price for it because I'll get the gaming hours out of it that I want to get out of it. But when you mentioned about the tactics with fighting, it's almost weird you saying something semi-positive about it and me disagreeing with it. But
yeah.
It's I mean, because you get things like the different types of weapons. You get fire, corrosive, and electric. And I've just genuinely not been bothered about them. I've just picked the sniper rifle with the highest damage and blew the arms of everything that I wanted to blow the arms off. There you go. I do appreciate what you mean, because you get ones like the bulldozer ones where you can sneak around behind and things like that.
I mean,
is that what you mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like, it is still just point and shoot. The enemies all look the same, but they don't all behave the same.
Especially when you mention Mass Effect as well, because the Mass Effect games in the driest level, you're still just going to a planet to kill somebody, or going to a planet to rescue somebody, and it is repetitive, but it's dressed up much better.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like you're just doing nonsense. As this, it's just, oh, you want us to go kill some more bandits. Alright.
But I mean, like I say, it's not a bad game, it's just not great. Alright guys, that was Borderlands 2, thanks for watching.
Please go check out our other stuff and find us on Facebook.
Don't forget, if you've got any questions or you want to request any videos for us to do in the future, stick it in the comments below.
Please subscribe.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye. I was on a roll there. So the plot...
Didn't even burp that time.
No, I didn't. I just...